Heavenly dove, oh, stay right here. Stay right here with us. Filling us with your love. And for these blessings, we lift our hearts with praise. Without a doubt, we'll know that we have been revived when we shall leave this
Exodus
place.
17, the 8th chapter says, then Amalek came and fought with Israel at Rephidim. So Moses said to Joshua, choose for us men and go out and fight with Amalek. Somebody say fight. Tomorrow I'll stand on top of the hill with the staff of God in my hand. So Joshua did as Moses told him and fought with Amalek, while Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. Whenever Moses held up his hand, Israel prevailed. And when he lowered his hand, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hands got tired. Somebody say tired. So they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it, while Aaron and Hur held up his hands on one side and the other on the other side. Say other side. So his hands were steady until the going down of the sun, and Joshua overwhelmed, beat Amalek and his people with the sword. Then the Lord said to Moses, write this as a memorial in a book and recite it in the ears of Joshua, that I will utterly blot out the memory of Amalek from under the sun. And Moses built an altar, and he called the name of the place Jehovah Nissi, the Lord is my banner, saying, a hand upon the throne of the Lord will have a war with Amalek from generation to generation. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, here's your word for you today. Tell him, be help. You may be seated. Somebody say, be help. Somebody say, be help. Good to see you, Pastor Ben. In class at the university, teaching on the gifts and ability and resolve of enslaved Africans, lecturing on the different elements that led to Africans being enslaved, yet being able to survive from one day to the next under the most harsh, inhumane treatment any people have ever experienced in the world. I was at the university teaching last semester, as I am this semester, on the resolve that it took for Africans enslaved to be able to survive from one day to the next. And in the midst of me teaching, I shifted and started teaching on the slaves' resolve to not remain slaves, but run away towards freedom. Somebody say freedom. How many slaves made up in their mind that it would be better to be dead and free than alive and remain in slavery? As I'm teaching on how slaves all throughout the South made the decision to want to run away, one of my students raised their hand and asked me in class, how were so many slaves able to escape and make it to freedom? Somebody say freedom. Knowing that some would be caught, but the vast majority who attempted to run away made it to freedom, according to many scholars. The student went further and asked me, they said, Pastor Coleman, knowing the danger that lied in escaping, knowing that one wrong move would likely end in death, how were so many able to escape capture and ultimately death? Somebody say death. My reply was simple, very simple. I said, well, you want to know how they made it? They had help and they had each other. Somebody say each other. It's a proven fact that none of the slaves who escaped to freedom were able to do it by themselves. Say themselves. The strategic network of the Underground Railroad required that the slaves use secret codes and specific landmarks to assist each other to navigate their way towards freedom. Somebody say freedom. They had to depend on each other to share those secret codes. They had to depend on each other to share those specific landmarks. They had to rely on each other, lean on each other, trust in each other, that each one had the same objective, and that objective was freedom. Somebody say freedom. Do it again, say freedom. So in their whispers and their words, they would help each other gain freedom. Somebody say freedom. Not only would they help one another, they had help from other folk who believed in the humanity of each man, and they in turn would provide safe houses, allowing slaves a place to rest until they gained enough strength to keep pressing towards freedom. Somebody say freedom. You can read them. There are numerous slave narratives written by slaves recounting how they would help each other, lean on each other, count on each other in order to navigate their way towards freedom. Somebody say freedom. Do better, y'all. Say freedom. There was no way that one could make it towards freedom if you didn't have help from somebody. Say somebody. It would have been near to impossible for you to survive the tumultuous terrain, the bloodthirsty bounty hunters, and the sniffing dogs if you didn't have help. Somebody say help. Likewise, many like Sister Harriet, when they gained their freedom, didn't just rest over in Canaan land and enjoy the fruits of freedom by themselves. They often returned back to the place they escaped and help others gain their freedom as well. Somebody say freedom. Many of them reconcile, do it, man, that I can't truly be free unless I help somebody else be free. Somebody say yes. I lift that for our consideration this morning as we begin another Black History Month to remind us that in order for us to be about the Father's business, we must first recognize we didn't get here by ourselves. Let me say that one more time. As we begin this month, I want to remind you that in order for us to be about our Father's business, you got to first recognize that you didn't get here by yourself. Somebody say yes. But in fact, you had help. But also that in order for us to truly be whom God has called us to be, we must also be help to other people. Somebody say be help. We cannot go through this month or the rest of this year acting as if all the people we recognize, all of the achievements we celebrate, all of the heroes we admire somehow reach that place by themselves. Somebody say yes. In fact, I dare say that none of those whom we acknowledge, revere, and admire reach their full potential by themselves, but in fact had help from somebody. Say somebody. Can I do it, beloved, often in order to press forward in life, to reach your potential, to maximize your goals, to manifest your vision, to grow, advance, and progress, and be strengthened, you're going to have help. Somebody say yes. I'm going to get you. Give me a second. In order to press forward, reach potential, maximize your goals, manifest vision, grow, advance, and progress, and be strengthened, you're going to have help. Somebody say help. Here it is. Likewise, not only will you have to receive it, here's the hook in the sermon, you're going to have to give it. Somebody say yes. Even though we live in an extremely individualistic culture, a strong argument can be raised that strength does not happen in solitude, it happens in community. Say community. The fact bear this out, that because most of us in here, regardless of who we are now, watch the shift in the sermon, have to testify, let me slow drag this one, that we would not be where we are today if it had not been for some help from somebody else. I'm going to get you. Most of us, if we're not too proud, can testify that we didn't arrive at the place we are now because we were the smartest, because we were the cutest, because we made all the right decisions. No. Most of us in here can testify that God sent some folk along our journey that saw potential in us and helped us. Can I get a witness yet? Oh, okay, that's all right. Somebody can testify. My mama helped me. My daddy helped me. My grandmama helped me. My auntie helped me. My big mama helped me. My pastor helped me. My teacher helped me. My principal helped me. My coach helped me. Somebody saw something in you and they decided to help you. Is there anybody in here can take 2 seconds and give God praise for every person that helped you along? Y'all gonna make me work this hard? Everybody in here, if you ain't too proud, can testify that I did not get here by myself. Everybody who claims to be somebody got help from somebody. Don't let these folk lie to you and tell you they self-made. Ain't nobody self-made. Somebody helped you get to where you are right now. Watch me shift the sermon. Somebody put money in your pocket. Somebody sent you a care package. Somebody laid hands on you. Somebody prayed for you. Somebody fought for you. Somebody was a rock for you. Somebody spoke a word to you. Can I get 50 people in here that can jump up now because somebody gave you some help? Slap your neighbor and say, I got some help. Don't come to church. Don't come to church. No church. Don't go to no church acting as if you got here because you the smartest person on your pew. The reality is most of us wouldn't be where we are right now if folk didn't look past our craziness and see potential in us. Is there anybody at Fifth Street that could throw your hands up? Because you who I'm talking about? See, here it is. In fact, Jesus encourages solitude for rest and reflection. But when it comes to walking in power, walking in strength, walking in favor, he encourages community. Watch this, y'all. Jesus says, where two or three are gathered together in my name, touching and agreeing, there I am in the midst of them. The Old Testament says it like this: one can chase 1,000, but two can chase 10,000. The poetry writer says it like this: two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. God expects that since you got help, here's the hook, y'all. 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 You got to be help. Slap somebody and say, be help. God expects that since you got help, you would in turn be help. God has not gifted you just for you. God, y'all better say something to me. God has not favored you just for you. God has not redeemed you just for you. God has not blessed you just for you. Maybe I need to take a pause for the cause because many people don't understand it or believe it. How many of y'all know that you're blessed? That took way too long. That took way too long. Let me ask it again. How many of y'all know as you sit here today, February 2nd, that you're blessed? Okay. Now, I was going fast. I got to obviously slow down. Some of y'all struggling with that. I want to help you. Your blessing is not your car. That's a blessing. It's not the house. That's a blessing. Some of us got peace of mind. Some of us want to sleep at night. Is there anybody here that knows that you're blessed? When you look around at other people, slap somebody and say, I know I'm blessed. Here it is. Sit down. You have to fight against the urge to be selfish in the midst of a selfish culture. I done said something, y'all ain't say nothing to me. Everybody's looking out for themselves today, but you got to resist the temptation that says, I got mine, you go get yours. You got to wage war against this mentality that says, I'm free, now you go figure out how to get free for yourself. God didn't build you that way. Our legacy doesn't say that. We come from places that didn't exist just to exist, but in fact, they encouraged us. They lifted us. They pushed us. They cheered us. They promoted us. They healed us. They restored us. They forgave us in order that we would reach the places that God wants us to be. Being helped means you got to look past yourself and want the whole to be better. Somebody say help. Being helped means that you understand the war that's being raged on the whole. Somebody say be helped. Being helped means that you realize you got a lane to stay in, and it's important for you to stay in your lane and don't cause no accident. Somebody say be helped. Y'all too quiet for me. Say be helped. Being helped means that it's not about you, but in fact others that are connected to you. Somebody say be helped. Being helped means that when you realize that you're not good help, you step aside and let the other folk that's good help be the help that God has called them to be. Somebody say be helped. Being helped means that I see God moving and I want to be a part of everything that God is doing. Look at your neighbor, say be helped. Therein is the lesson in our familiar text this morning as we jump into this scene. A war is being waged against the children of Israel by an enemy known as Amalek. It's your typical historical battle. Yes, sir. The Israelites on one side, the Amalekites on the other side, with commanders watching from the hilltop safely behind their own lines. Well, Moses, being the leader that he is, recognizes that when he raises his hands, the battle turns in the favor of his forces. But when he lowers his hands, the Amalekites seem to be winning. When he raises his hands, the Israelites start to win. But when he lowers his hands, the enemy starts to win. Y'all gonna miss a shout today. When he raises his hand, his troops advance on the enemy. But when he lowers his hands, the enemy advances on his troops. Can I pause right here and tell you, you want to see some victories in your life? Raise your hand. Stop acting solidified and bougified like you don't know what worship really is. You want to see the enemy run in your family? Lift your hands. You want to see the devil get out your kids? Lift your hands. You want to see provision come to your house? Lift your hands. You want to see some victory in your money? Lift your hands. Can I get 50 people in here that are not too proud to start Amen. Watch this. Slap your neighbor, say, lift your hands. See? Yeah. Here it is. Watch this. But nobody can lift their hands forever. Preach, Coleman. Moses' arms eventually get tired. And he starts to worry that the Israelites will lose the battle if he puts his hands down. Woo! Moses' brother and his brother-in-law are up on the hill, and they see him in distress. They go over, and they see Moses fade. He on the hill, but they see his arms is a little tired. One go on one side. One goes on the other side. And they make a chair for him. He sits in the chair, and they hold his hands up. From Giselle, Mount Zion Church in Lambert, Mississippi. I've heard this text preached many times, but the angle today is different. I want to talk about Moses, because most of us can't walk in Moses' shoes, but everybody can be an Aaron and an Ur. Y'all just missed a shout right there. There's something in there. From the outset, we see Aaron and Ur concerned about the war being waged in the valley. Remember when I set the scene, y'all? I told y'all we was in war. Somebody say war. Y'all shouted louder. Say war. Watch this. The Israelites on one side, the Amalekites on the other side. Now, if you read Jewish history, you will discover that the Amalekites would not only be the first enemy the Israelites faced after Egyptian bondage, but over and over again through their history, they would have to engage in war against this familiar enemy. Aaron and Ur were not only Israelites, but they were concerned about the war happening in the valley. Now, I got to help y'all because it's only good that I say this before I go to my first point. The Amalekites were not unrelated. The Amalekites were their cousins. Okay, I'm about to run today. Because here it is. They were the descendants of Esau, which meant they were related to each other. Just because we look the same don't mean we on the same team. Steve, they just missed that whole shout right there. We have a tendency to think that just because somebody look like you, that we on the same team. The reality is that if you're on the Lord's side, it doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what creed you are. Y'all ain't gonna say nothing? Some of your biggest enemies are in your family at the family reunion. You ain't gotta say nothing to me. And they can have the same bloodline as you. Can I get 50 folk in here that know somebody, an enemy that look just like? So watch this. They wanted Joshua, who was leading the charge in the valley, to win. So they saw Moses doing his part and chose not to be spectators. Let me raise it up. Or criticizers. Instead, they rolled up their sleeves and gave some help. Somebody say help. I'm about to preach this in here. Beloved, good help is concerned about the war being waged in the valley right now. Say right now. I know it would be easy to come to church and act like everything is okay, but the truth is we're in a war right now. Say right now. Good help is concerned about the war. Somebody say good help is concerned about the war. Whoever told you that faith is private and not connected to other conditions in society lied to you. Good help knows that it has to be concerned about the war in the valley. And I know on your little plot, in your little neighborhood, where your little kids are, you ain't worried about no war, but please don't be naive. There is a war going on right now. Mass incarceration, war. Inequity in education, war. Rising health care, war. Police brutality, war. Lack of support of black businesses, war. Economic miseducation, war. Black male athlete exploitation, war. Irrelevant, outdated churches, war. gender discrimination war. Is there anybody knows that we got a war that we're fighting? Here it is, but clearly understand there's a war going on, and real help is concerned about it and ready to engage to help the team win. Somebody say win. I'm about to shift. Here it is. Aaron and Hur were not going to help Moses by simply going through the motions, showing up and saying they were there. No, they were in the fight to win. Somebody say win. Beloved, only those who are in a fight to win need to show up. Let me do it. Here it is, Darlene. Bad help simply goes through the motions. Good help finds a cause worth waiting for and is willing to help any way they can. Beloved, this is how we become good help, when we're concerned about the war and we're in this fight to win. Somebody say win. It's not only a war to fight publicly and communally, but help also should be available personally. You need to be an Aaron and Hur to help somebody else win a battle when they're going through. Let me ask a question in here, and I mean this in all sincerity. Has anybody in here, this is not rhetorical, has anybody in here ever received help when your back was against the wall? Throw your hands up. Have you ever had somebody encourage you when you were battling depression? Throw your hands up. Have you ever had somebody help you when you didn't think the sun was going to shine again? Throw your hands up. Have you ever had somebody bet on you when you wouldn't even bet on yourself? Throw your hands up. Have you ever had somebody tell you that you're going to make it in spite of what you're going through? Is there anybody in here that's ever gotten a word for somebody and you just made it to another day? Can I find 5 folk in here that's ever got that kind? Watch this. Do you understand? Do you understand that simply telling somebody, baby, don't give up and it's going to turn around, that can change your life? Don't you understand that you can look at somebody and tell them, don't quit, victory is around the corner? Have you understand the power of telling somebody your breakthrough is on the way? What we have a tendency to do is we have a tendency to underestimate the power of our ability to help people. But you got to realize some of us are here not because they gave us a lot of money. Some of us are here because somebody spoke a word to us. I got 5 of y'all can testify. They might not have gave me a loan, but they gave me a word. They might not have gave me a car, but they gave me a word. Can I find 50 people in here that could give God praise because you got a word? Look at somebody and say, just give a word. Just give a word. Watch this. Folk don't need negative, nasty, gossiping, lying tongues. They need folks that can speak life to them and affirm that God is on their side. Somebody say, be helped. The other element is this. It has to be lifted about Aaron and Hur, is that they were not only concerned about the war in the valley. Everybody say, be concerned about the war in the valley. Say, be concerned about the war in the valley. But here it is. They also exemplified what teamwork looks like. Let me lift it. Aaron and Hur see Moses on top of the hill with his hands up. They know Moses is connected to God. They understand that he's doing his part to win the war in the valley. They see him grow weary. They see him get tired. They see him struggling to keep his hands up. What they don't do, darling, is give him suggestions on how he could strengthen his arms. I can't get help from 3 people in the house. What they don't do is give him a workout schedule. Well, Moses, if you go to the gym and you do 4 sets of 10, maybe people don't need your suggestions, they need your help. Y'all ain't say nothing to Coleman. Y'all better talk back to me with your crazy selves. Come on, y'all. You don't nobody need your words, they need your work. And the problem with us is that a lot of us got words but don't want to put no work in. You want to see the kingdom come to pass, close your mouth, get your hands in the dirt, and start helping somebody. They intercede for Moses. They lift his hands up. They made a place for him to sit, and they held his hands up. They understood they had a part to play on the team, and they played their part. Can you do me a favor? Nudge your neighbor and say, play your part. They weren't jealous of Moses. They didn't cut Moses down. They didn't sit back and watch Moses. They instead helped Moses. Somebody say, help Moses. Because in order for us to win in life, it's going to take a team effort. Say team effort. Say team effort. Watch this, Justin. Here it is. Can I ask you a question? Who you got on your team? Who your starting five you going to put on the floor? Don't do it, Coleman. What happened Sunday was a tragedy. Kobe Bryant, daughter, 7 others dying horrible. But here's what you know. I said this at 8:30. Pound for pound, you can argue. Wednesday night we talked about it initially before with the Bible study. And people, you know, a lot of people like, I didn't like Kobe. He was arrogant. Oh, he was overconfident. Okay, cool. Those who have it don't have to explain to those who don't. Kobe had it. And the reason people criticize him, because they ain't got what he had. Come on, give me 5 in the house. Pound for pound, Kobe was a bad boy. Stop hating and celebrate what the man did. Say what you want. But here's what you know. Here's what you know. In order to be a good teammate, you got to know that some people are stars and some people are role players. Everybody can't be Kobe. I don't care how much you want to be. You ain't. Come on, somebody. But here's the other side. Kobe couldn't have won what he won if it wasn't for the role players. I need some help from some folk in the house. So here's what you got to reconcile. You got to reconcile that sometimes in life you the Kobe and you need role players to help you win. But you got to have enough humility to realize that you can't be Kobe every night. You got to let some other folk be Kobe in order to help them get to. Can you slap somebody and say, pass the ball, Kobe, pass the ball? I know you great, but you got to pass the ball. I know you powerful, but you got to pass the ball. Can I help you? My mother and grandmama were role players. They ain't never get on no stage, but I had a meal every night. They took care of me every day. Most of us are here not because of the Kobe Bryants, but because of the role players that helped us get to where we are. Can I find 50 people in here that can give God glory? Slap a neighbor and say, be a role player, be a role. Listen, if your name is never in lights, be a role player. If they don't never put you on the program, be a role player. If they don't never call your name, be a role player. If they don't ever recognize you at the afternoon service, be a role player. If they don't invite you out to dinner, be a role player. Why? Because it's role players that got us to where we are. It's role players that helped this church get to where it is. It's folk that cooked in kitchens. It's folk that swept the floor. It's folk that were important in the back. And if you in the back, you make the front look better. Is there anybody in here that can give God some praise for the role? It is. Darlene, the young folk don't know this song, but I'm a Comanizer. You don't have to be a star baby to be in God's show. Can I find, the old players don't know that song? Look, you ain't got to be a star. You don't have to be big. Here it is. A need seen is an assignment given. If God puts a need in your face, that is the assignment he gave you. And you got to do what God calls you to do to help somebody else reach the potential in their lives. How can I say that? Because most of y'all in here, you were raised by role players. You were educated by role players. You were lifted by role players. You ate food from the role player's table. You ate from the role player's cup. You drank from the role. Is there anybody in here that could shout because you were fed? All right, that's it. So watch this. If you're going to be helped, you got to be concerned about the war. Say, be concerned about the war. Do it, y'all. Say, be concerned about the war. You have to exemplify. Say, exemplify what it looks like to be a teammate. Slap your neighbor. Say, we on the same team. We on. Y'all with it? But thirdly, the last point. Now, his is heavy, so I got to get it. Moses is on the hill. Aaron and Ur see him. Moses, darling, had to trust Aaron and Ur in order to let them come close to him. Can I bless you? Somebody say, bless me. Look at me. Hey. Everybody can't be close to you. Be careful of provocateurs, cutthroats, Judas, betrayers. Y'all ain't talking to me in here. Be careful of folk who just hugging you, trying to find a soft spot to put the knife. Everybody can't be close to you, because while you grinning and smiling, they plotting to destroy you. Y'all better hear me in here. And so that's why Moses had to trust Aaron and Ur, because everybody can't be close to the anointed. Come on. Moses had to believe, last point, that in order to be helped, you got to trust the God that I serve. Here it is. As they were interceding for Moses, they rolled up their sleeves. They got their hands dirty because in their mind, watch the shout. Joshua was doing his part in the valley. Moses was doing his part on the hill. They were doing their part holding up Moses' arms. And they had to trust that if Joshua doing his part, Moses doing his part, they doing their part, whoo, God was doing his part. Y'all just missed a shout right there. Here's what I know. If you trust in God, you can believe that if you do what you're supposed to do, God help me preach this in here, God is going to do what God is supposed to do. What you can't do is act like you God. Y'all preach it in here. And you didn't figure this thing out by yourself. At the end of the day, as they were interceding for Moses, God was interceding for them. Beloved, real help, somebody say real help. I'm done, y'all. Say real help. Trust in God. Say trust in God. On one side, don't ever surround yourself with folk who don't believe in the unlimited power of God. On one side, don't ever surround yourself with folk who don't believe in the transforming power of God. On the other side, when you and I choose to be helped, we got to trust that God will do his part. We can't just sit back and be indifferent when it comes to faith. Real help trusts that God will show up. Real help believes that God will deliver. Real help believes that God answers prayer. Real help believes that God can be water in dry places and food in barren places. Real help knows that God can open every shut door and close every open door. Real help believes that a no from man is a yes from God. Real help believes that God is my vindicator. He'll prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Real help believes God is my consolator. He'll be a friend to the friendless, a mother to the motherless, and a father to the fatherless. Real help believes that God is a healer. By his stripes, I know that I'm healed. Real help believes that God is my deliverer. When I'm trapped and ensnared, he provides a way of escape for me. Real help believes that God is my way maker. He can make ways where there is no way. Is there anybody in here that trusts in God? Is there anybody in here that leads on God? Is there anybody in here that can count on God? Give him a shout right now. Slap somebody, say real help knows that God is able. Does anybody know God is able? Then give God a praise like you know God is able. Give him a shout if you know God is able. Somebody give him a praise. Watch this. It is. It is. I'm done. Praise the Lord. Slap your neighbor. Say, be help, baby. Be help. Well, let me tell you what real help looks like. Yeah. Dr. Frederick G. Sampson tells this story. Jeremiah Wright retells the story. By the time it got to Coleman, it's my story. Y'all like that? He says that Frederick G. Sampson would pastor a tabernacle church in Detroit, Michigan, would come to Lake Michigan, and he would come and do revival for Trinity United Church of Christ. He would do revival every year, and he would come. He preferred the East Coast revivals and West Coast revivals because at least he got the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean. But all Chicago had was Lake Michigan. So he would go to Lake Michigan, and he would walk along the seashore in the morning, and there on the seashore, he would watch the different animals land and take off. Well, on one particular morning, he's doing devotion, Bishop. He's there, and he sees a crane with fish in his mouth. And the crane is playing with the fish. He played with the fish, and he dropped the fish on the ground. He picked the fish up, flip, flop, flip, flop, flip, flop, dropped the fish on the ground. He picked the fish up, flip, flop, flip, flop, dropped the fish on the ground. Well, eventually the crane ate the fish. It was breakfast. Help me, somebody. Well, what the crane didn't know, but all of us know, that if you stand on the seashore long enough, when the tide goes in and the tide goes out, you're going to sink a little bit deeper in the water. Well, the crane ate the fish, but the crane didn't know that the longer you stand on the seashore, the deeper you're going to get in the mud, and you're not going to be able to take off. What Frederick G. Sampson said, he saw the crane unable to take off, and he goes over to help the crane. But the crane took its beak, and he cut the hand of Frederick G. Sampson. From come Sunday to the end of Friday, he cut his hand. He's bleeding. And he said, I wish I spoke crane, because I would tell the crane all I was trying to do is be helped. Help me preach it here. And there he is with blood running down. He said, that sounds familiar. Because just like the crane, most of us got the plan. Flip, flop, flip, flop, flip, flop. Hanging out with people we don't need to hang out with. Going places we don't need to go. Flip, flop, flip, flop, flip, flop. Thinking thoughts we don't need to think. Having attitudes we don't need to have. Doing things that shame our family. Flip, flop, flip, flop, flip, flop. And like the crane, most of us sunk deeper in the mud. We kept getting deeper over time and memorial. And God says, when God reached out to us, he sent prophets, we cut their hand. He sent priests, we cut their hand. He sent judges, we cut their hand. He sent kings, we cut their hand. God's in heaven saying, man, I wish I spoke man, because all I want man to know is all I was trying to do. Y'all help me preach in here. And God says, I wish I spoke man. But Darlene, he had a revelation. He said, I do speak man. He took off his robe in glory. He came down through 40 and 2 generations. He was born in a manger to a virgin named Mary. Is there anybody in here that knows that God was your help? He saved you. He redeemed you. He lifted you. He encouraged you. Slap somebody and say, God is my help. Now give him a shout if God is your help. Jump on your feet and give him a praise. Find 3 people and high five them and say, be help. Be help. Be help. Be help. Be help. High five somebody and say, be help. Now give him a praise. If you know you got help, if you know you're willing to be helped, somebody give him a shout. It is simple. Get it? If you're blessed, the lesson today is simple, y'all. Be helped. Don't just be in this for yourself. Help somebody. Encourage somebody. Lift somebody. Can I do it? Can I do it? I said it at 8:30, Calvin. I'll say it today. At our table, from our legacy, My kinfolk grandmama now never rejected anybody who wanted a seat at the table. I don't know where some of y'all from. I don't come from them folk. If you just got out of jail, it ain't matter. There's a seat at the table. Strung out on drugs, that's all right. You got a seat at the table. You may have messed up in life. Come on, somebody. There was a seat at the table. That's the legacy. That's the Aaron and the Ur. You got to help somebody. You have to be unselfish to realize that you didn't get here by yourself. Somebody helped you get here. Somebody praise them right there. How you go? You got to be helped. That's the true essence of what it means to be a believer. You're a help to somebody else. You want to see God move in your life, help somebody else. Don't always look for your blessing. Your blessing might be to bless somebody else.